If you want to invest in fast-growing European startups that are trying to change healthcare, energy, food, finance, and the way we live, you need to watch this video. Because in this update, we are covering some of the most interesting startups currently raising funding through European equity crowdfunding platforms. We will look at new investment opportunities where you can become an investor from just a few €100. We will also cover startup success stories from previous funding rounds, including exits, major growth milestones, and huge follow-on funding rounds that early investors would have loved to be part of. And finally, we will look at the biggest platform news shaping the future of startup investing in Europe. From pre-IPO investments and AI-powered legal tools to new tax-efficient investing options. Let's start with the startups currently raising funding. AI and data centers are consuming more and more energy, but what if the heat they create could warm homes instead of being wasted? That is the idea behind Thermify, featured by Republic Europe. Thermify is building a climate tech model that turns data center waste heat into low-carbon home heating. This startup connects two massive trends: the growth of AI and data processing, and the urgent need to decarbonize heating. That makes the story simple, timely, and powerful. What if a new medicine could change how doctors treat painful long-term gut diseases like Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis? That is the opportunity behind Origin Therapeutics, now featured on Capital Cell. Origin is developing a first-in-class oral RNA therapy targeting Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis, two conditions in the huge inflammatory bowel disease market. What if the future of food is printed? Revo Foods, raising through Funder Nation, is developing scalable 3D food printing technology for alternative meat and fish products. This startup sits directly at the intersection of food tech, sustainability, alternative proteins, and industrial innovation. And what makes it especially interesting is that it is not only a lab concept. Revo Foods already has strong public visibility and a clear sustainability story. Imagine a child receiving a heart valve that can grow with them, made from their own tissue. That is the vision behind Grown Valve, available through Companisto. The company is developing personalized regenerative heart valves made from the patient's own tissue. The goal is to avoid repeated surgeries and reduce the need for lifelong medication. This is the kind of MedTech innovation that could have a real human impact. Pensions are one of the biggest financial markets in the world, but for many people they still feel complicated, boring, and difficult to manage. Penfold, available through Crowdcube, is trying to change that. Penfold is a digital pensions platform making pension saving easier, more flexible, and more user-friendly for individuals and businesses. Medical imaging is already everywhere. But what if we could make existing ultrasound technology much smarter? That is what Pure Imaging is working on. The company transforms standard 2D ultrasound into automated 3D volume imaging, helping doctors get better diagnostic insights without completely replacing existing hospital equipment. Hospitals are full, beds are expensive, but not every patient needs to stay in a hospital bed. That is the problem My Hospital is trying to solve. The company, listed on Tudigo, is building a healthcare accommodation platform that helps hospitals move autonomous patients to partner hotels instead of keeping them in hospital beds. Hospitals can free up capacity. Hotels can increase occupancy. Patients can stay close to healthcare facilities in a more comfortable environment. These are just some of the most interesting startups from this month's European Equity Crowdfunding Roundup. There are many more opportunities in the full article, from CleanTech and Biotech to sustainable products, real estate, and consumer brands. You can find the full article in the description below. Now let's move from new campaigns to startup success stories, the kind of updates that show what can happen after a crowdfunding round. This is exactly the type of story crowdfunding investors want to hear. Switcho, previously backed by investors on MamaCrowd, has been acquired 100% by the Maverick Group. Before the acquisition, Switcho reached 1.5 million users and €12 million EBITDA. That is not just a small milestone. That is a serious growth story and a real exit event. Now let's talk about a massive growth story. Aura Aero, backed through Blast Club, secured a huge €340 million financing package, including €50 million in equity. The company is developing hybrid electric aircraft and expanding internationally. This is not an exit yet, but it is a very important signal. Not every success story needs to be a €1 billion deep tech round. Sometimes the most interesting signal is simple: real revenue, real demand, and a real business model. That is why Campe, featured through Startup Explore, stands out. Campe is a technical training and employability platform focused on skilled trades. The company recorded a strong Q1 2026, reached EBITDA positivity, generated meaningful revenue, and filled a large part of its current funding round. These stories show why crowdfunding updates matter. They reveal which startups reached exits, raised major funding, or proved real traction after their campaigns. Find more updates in the full article. Now let's look at the platform news. This could be one of the biggest platform moves in European crowdfunding. Investor has launched access to pre-IPO investments, giving retail investors a chance to invest in late-stage private companies before they go public. Spreads is expanding beyond equity crowdfunding and launching a new SME crowdlending product. That means investors can now support businesses not only by buying equity but also by lending money for regular yield returns. Last Club announced that selected startups are now eligible for PEA and PEA PME. In simple words, this means French investors may be able to invest in some startups through a tax-advantaged investment account. So what is the key takeaway? European equity crowdfunding is becoming much more than small startup campaigns. We are now seeing biotech innovation, MedTech breakthroughs, climate tech solutions, digital pensions, food tech, sustainable aviation, real exits, major follow-on rounds, pre-IPO access, AI-powered investment infrastructure, and tax-efficient startup investing. For retail investors, this means more access than ever before. But more access also means you need better information. That is why on CrowdInform, we help you explore crowdfunding platforms, compare opportunities, follow market updates, and learn more about alternative investing, from startups in real estate to renewable energy, P2P lending, and collectibles. If you want to stay ahead of the next big startup investment opportunity, subscribe to this newsletter and follow CrowdInform, because the next major startup success story may already be raising money today. See you in the next update.